I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for. Look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock.
Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It is
Force.
very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. We're coming to you live via Love 97 FM radio. This is Tuesday, the 14th day of January 2025. And if it's a Tuesday, it's Maritime Tech Matters. Our host for today's show is none other than the one and only Mr. Craig Gibson. Correction. We encourage that if you are driving and tuned in with us, please do so cautiously and ensure to take your time in getting wherever it is you are trying to get. Get there safely. As the saying goes, drive to arrive alive. Our sponsors for tonight's show are same old two, 101 Pharmacy, and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shantia McBride and a lovely team at 101 Pharmacy in Nassau, and of course in Freeport you have Island Care Pharmacy. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site 101pharmacy.com. That's all one word, all lowercase, 101pharmacy.com. The three locations are East Street South. You got to hail Joy when you go there, of course. Charles Sanders Highway. You got to hail my cousin Silla when you go there, of course. And then Freeport, Explorers Way. Well, of course, that's my big sis, Steph. Got to hail Stephanie Cooper up there in Freeport. And when you go in those places, just let them know you came here because Maritime Matters told you you're going to get the best service that you can get in any pharmacy. Thank you very much. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. Hey, that's us. We are BMC. We provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. Good night, Annie Mae. Auntie May up there in Freeport. Boy, me and Annie Mae been kicking. Annie Mae said it was so cold this week. She ain't seen that yet. Wait till tonight tomorrow. Boy, Annie Mae, you got to come in. But you's my girl. You know how to. I told you what to do, Annie Mae. You got to get the comforter. You got to get the blanket. You got to get a couple sheets. And you go in the bed wholesale. Don't worry about anything. Well, you know Uncle George done gone. So you... Boy, Annie Mae kill me. Annie Mae, you could put them all on and make sure you warm. Put on 2 socks. Because you know I want you to be cold. Annie Mae need to be warm. And as one of my dear listeners and callers said last week, get a shot of brandy. Now, Annie Mae, I know you don't drink. You tell me the must say the heaviest thing you ever drink is lemonade. But Annie Mae, excuse me, Annie Mae could be a mess when she ready. Annie Mae said, Glenn, I never put nothing in my mouth but name alcohol. But Annie Mae, that brandy, I don't know if that's alcohol, but boy, that sure can get you warm. Nah, you can't drink too much now, anime, because you like you say, you're a virgin drinker. So, ladies and gentlemen, Anime is our Maritime Matters #1 fan from way back in the day. She don't miss no show. She always hit me up and tell me how she enjoyed listening to this topic and that topic and the next topic. Boy, she give me one. Oh, I know I can't put that on, because Anime, that one off the chain, and people here they'll kill themselves laughing. But Anime continue to be our #1 host. As you know, she's 91 years old and going on 92 this year. So Anime, you know, when that big bash reach, we have to do something for you up in here. Good evening also to my near and dear friend, Marlon. Yes, you got it. Mr. Marlon Johnson, a.k.a. Independent Thinker. So why are we hailing up Marlon Johnson tonight? Because, well, first of all, Marlon is a very good friend of mine and also a talk show colleague. Marlon is the one that helped me to get started in this Maritime Matters operation. One that, you know, encouraged me, assisted me. But recently, Marlon was the victim of a traffic accident and had one of his legs mutilated. He has since underwent numerous surgeries and currently recovering very well on a daily basis. Of course, Brother Independent Thinker, as we know him, has his own weekly show, Prime Time with Independent Thinker. Y'all heard it over and over again. Prime Time with Independent Thinker. You're live! That's my boy Marlon, right? And that show runs every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. or 19:30 as we know it, right here on Love 97 FM. For many years now, many years he's been running his show, and unfortunately, due to that accident he's just had, he was off air now for the better part of 2 months. So I say to my friend and brother, all the best to you in your recoveries, Brother Marlon, and know that we all miss you. Speediest of recoveries, Mr. Independent Thinker. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to say hello to Marlon tonight, call me. I'll make sure you get that message. In fact, I think he's listening in. As a matter of fact, I'm asking Marlon to join me on my next show. So we'll have a treat. We'll be talking about maritime, and of course, I know you all mixed up, miss all that politics talk, because that's what Marlon into. I tell Marlon, I say, boy, Marlon, let me tell you something. I can stick with the maritime part, but this is your show. So if you want to talk politics, just don't ask me no question, because I don't do politics. You know, I a swing voter, so I go either way. I don't check. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matter airs weekly at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday night, or every Tuesday evening, I should say, here on Love 97 FM. My producer for the night, I said the host, but it's not a co-host, it's my producer. He need to be a co-host though. Greg need to come on this mic and start talking. He can talk, you know, don't mind him, he got plenty of things in the head. But it's Craig Gibson, as always, keeping us rolling, keeping us flowing. Excuse me. The purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians in general of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime feeds. The main feed being, of course, Maritime Executive. And for locally, we use all the dailies, the Guardian, the Tribune, the Journal, all of them we check and try and get information to bring to you on the show. So we ain't Glenn being making up nothing. I don't make up things. It's just too much information out there for me to make up anything. So when you call about these things, just remember that these are things that have been researched, and for the most part, they are most accurate. Oh, now the phone number to call us, should you wish to get in on the discussions during the show, is 326-8255. I repeat, The number to call us if you want to reach us during the show is 326-8255. If you want to hear a replay of this show or any of our previous shows, simply hit us up on our YouTube page at your convenience. Our YouTube page is Maritime Matters Bahamas. Just 3 words. Just like I love you. 3 words. Maritime Matters Bahamas. So just go to YouTube on your electronic device and type into the search box Maritime Matters Bahamas, and you will see all of our shows. Now this one wouldn't be up there until later tonight, of course. It takes time to load it up, but we're going to load it up. But you can go there now if you want to, and you will see all our previous shows. But we want you to listen to this one, so don't do too much digging and diving into that. So let's talk maritime. The topics we aim to engage tonight are as follows. Nassau cruise port breaks all-time passenger record. You know what that means? That ain't only for Nassau, you know. Let me just let you know, people. That is not just for Nassau. Because outside of those big 3, the biggest, the largest home porting services in the world are right there on the east coast of Florida. Miami, Port Everglades, Port Canaveral. And outside, now they would have the most people boarding ships or getting on ships to do cruises. And outside of them, Nassau, the port of Nassau, not the port of Bahamas. Bahamas is a country. We got the port of Nassau, we got the port of Freeport, we got ports in private islands where cruise ships go that they own themselves. And guess what? We ain't got no more. Because the Bahamas government, and I ain't talking about no administration, no FNM, no PLP, no, who else? It was always no UBP. The Bahamas government has not saw it fit since the 60s, because now remember, this cruise ship thing started in the 1960s, when I was born, when I was a little boy, right? Since then, the Bahamas government built only 1 cruise port, and that's the one in Nassau. You ain't think that's terrible? You ain't think that's a lot of farting around going there? We got the largest visiting cruise port in the world, breaking records. And our country is on the doorstep of the 3 largest home porting cruise ports in the world. And the government only built 1 cruise port for cruise ship. What nonsense is that? So, as I said last week, and as I said last year, and as I said the year before, we need every single family island, because all of our islands sit on the doorstep of the largest 3 home ports in the world. Every single island should have at least 1 cruise ship pier put there by the government. Ain't no excuse for that. We ain't need no excuse. Anything else, we joking. And we've been joking now from 1965, because it's a bunch of foolishness. So ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. But in just 20 months, after introducing the new and improved Nassau Cruise Terminal, Nassau Cruise Port, used to name Prince George Wharf, eh? Prince George Wharf is now Nassau Cruise Port. And that happened 20 months ago. And since then, they smashed the record twice. The first one was in 2023. I think it was March or so. And then the recent one was during the Christmas break. And we can talk about those numbers after the break, eh? So the next topic we want to cover is how hot our ocean getting. 2024 extreme ocean heat break records again. So the oceans are heating up as the planet warms up. Yeah, but global warming, that's no fluke, you know. That global warming thing, that's for real. You see all that fire in California going on now? You think that used to happen in the past? No, that's because of global warming. That's because of the disturbance, because right now California is supposed to be cold. Mind you, it's cold, but sometimes it's hot. And when the fire break out and it get the momentum, it's hard to stop it. And it keeps springing up in different sections of California. So right now they got problems because that continues to burn and they can't really stop it. They try to curtail it as much as they could, but you know, Mother Nature don't play, especially when you disturb the balance of nature. And now the balance of nature is being disturbed by all this carbon we putting in there. Thus, we have all this global warming. And so because the earth is getting warmer, the oceans are getting warmer. And you know how dependent we are on those oceans remaining cool? 2024 was the warmest year ever measured for the ocean. And we got all kind of bleaching going on now. And I don't mean bleaching where our divers going out and using bleach to run the crawfish out the shoal, you know. I talking about bleaching as a result of the heat. The corals are turning color. The prettiness is going away. And if it continues, it gets worse. So all them people who come over here to go diving and seeing all that pretty coral when they go underwater, man, they go underwater now, all they can see is, you know, little shabbiness. And that's what we don't want. That's what we need to avoid, right? We need to avoid that. So the 2024's extreme ocean heat broke records again, leaving two mysteries. And we can talk about those two mysteries when we come back. Because the record was broken in 2023 as the warmest year for the ocean ever. Now 2024 break that one. That's the same way how the Nassau cruise port in 2023 set or break the record for the amount of visitors we had in any one single day. Now 2024 they break it again. Now 2025 you could almost be sure that it broke even again. Maybe more than once in 1 year. But you know we can see. Because what my good friend them was saying, that political party, it ain't going. It ain't going. It's coming. And as time move on, these things come around and come alive. Another topic we got to discuss tonight. We're discussing already. Boy, times go so fast in the show. You look left, look right. Next thing you know, half of the time gone, and you look left and look right again. You try to figure out how the show going so quick. That's how Maritime Matters rolls. Right, Annie Mae? We just keep rolling, baby. You are listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. The number to reach, if you want it on the show, is 326-8255. That's 326-8255. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. And, of course, the producer for the show tonight, Mr. Craig Gibson, is in studio, keeping things ticking. And we're covering some of the topics we're going to be discussing. So far, we mentioned the Nassau cruise port breaking the record again over the Christmas as far as the most passengers ever came ashore in one day. And that ain't only in Nassau, that's any port anywhere in the world, except the big three, of course. But they don't do stuff, they don't take on the people and let the people off there. That ain't no visit for them. They do their home port activities there. So we got the number one spot in the world as far as the amount of passengers visiting for the year, and part of that, the amount of passengers in one single port in one single day. We also talk about the ocean, how the ocean has been breaking records year after year for getting warmer and warmer, or should I say hotter and hotter. So all that good coolness that those planktons and corals and stuff like, when it get too warm, they get bleached out and they start dying. And that makes our corals and them look shabby, eh? That's the word I use. And then we just talk about, we're going to talk now about affordable and available liquefied natural gas, that's LNG. How LNG is dominating the dual fuel vessel orders in 2024. In other words, they had many, but the majority of vessels that were built in 2024 and 2025 could be even worse. Those vessels are not just fossil fuel, bunker C, that old stuff that have plenty carbon in it. They're now making sure that all these vessels have dual fuel arrangement. They could carry natural gas as well. Because you see what happened is natural gas emits about 40% of what the regular fossil fuel and diesel and gas emit. And the bunker C, of course, because that's what most ships use. So when they build ships now, they make an engine in a way that it can also use natural gas, because natural gas is now the preferred gas for ships to use. Why? Ships don't really want to use gas, They don't want to use natural gas. They don't want to use propane. They don't want to use bunker C. They don't want to use no kind of fuel that emits carbon. They'd rather be like the land and utilize solar to give them power to move those ships, or utilize windmills to generate the power so that they wouldn't have no carbon going through their funnel. They don't even need no more funnel if they do that. Look at all these electric cars we got on the road now. Do you know that those electric cars, they need to put them in them jitneys, so you ain't gonna see no more smoke. There's no smoke to come out because they're operating with one big battery in the hood. No smoke. And just like your cell phone, you charge that battery overnight. And based on a caller a couple of weeks ago, he said that his electric car, or EV, electric vehicle, he only charges that once a week. So he don't even have to plug in every night because it carry him 300 and something miles. NASA's only 21 miles long. So if this brother, like some of my boys, them who I know, who got plenty pit stops to make. They won't go to every bar. They got a couple different houses to check, this one and that one. This brother ain't like that. So he ain't got to make no bunch of runs. So for him to cover that 200-300 miles, it takes him a week. Because he got a church, back home, wake, back home, food store. That's all he doing. And every time he reach where he get, he turn the engine off, so he ain't really using no energy from that battery. So you only need to charge up once a week. And that's how serious this thing is, So, excuse me again. So the cars, the electric vehicles, do not emit any zilch carbon in the air to add to this global warming. Because see what happened with this carbon being released is this carbon is emitted from, is that a call, producer? I see some stuff flash. I think that was always there. Please get rid of them so we can see when someone calls. Thanks so much. What happened is carbon is emitted when machinery has combustion. Not combustion is. I mean, we all know, but the combustion chamber where you have a mixture of air comes in, and then you have compression and it heat up the air, and then you squirt a little bit of fuel in there and you have a kabloom, so it send the thing back up so it can come back around, and that's a continuous thing to keep something moving, that's the combustion chamber. So that when it have that combustion, what burns and have to be released is the carbon. Because you remember, the fuel is basically carbon. The coal of the ground of the earth is basically carbon, because that's where the tree is taking the carbon dioxide and they store the carbon, because they always want to be able to go to that for use. The earth didn't want to waste nothing what trees could use. The earth didn't want to waste nothing what man could use. That's why you have that balance of oxygen and carbon and nitrogen and all those other things in there. And if that balance ain't right, none of us can be living no more. That's why it's so important for us to keep that balance. Now going back to the the LNG on ships. See, ships don't have the available storage capacity or the available space capacity to have enough solar to give them power to run their ship. So the best they could do at this time is to use the lowest supply of fuel that emits the lowest percentage of carbon, and that's LNG. And then they can have to eventually switch, because they even can be allowed to put carbon into them. And they got all kind of things going on now, right? They got this carbon capture system where they put it over the funnel, and instead of getting into the environment, it's captured and channeled to a void space on the ship. And then they could convert it, and then the truck come and they take it and carry it to a factory where they convert it to liquid or fuel or solid. And then they actually dig holes hundreds of feet in the ground and put it back in the ground. That's where it come from. Carbon coming out of the ground. Where you think all this oil that they use, that's carbon coming out of the ground. Same thing with the coal. That's carbon coming out of the ground. The coal that people use. You think it's the tree where they get the carbon? I mean the coal. No, they ain't the tree. It's stored underneath the tree in the roots. That's where the carbon is. So this LNG that ships are now moving toward is their best alternative at this time. Now eventually they're going to start, well, they already started, because you got some ships now using what you call hydrogen for energy. Now hydrogen is really water. They split the molecules and they find a way for that water to give off energy. Hydro energy. Yeah, but the hydrogen bomb, that's energy. And that hydrogen, once they package it properly, can power a ship. They got like hydrogen cells that they keep on board in storage until they use it up and replace it with more hydrogen cells. But that hydrogen can actually power a ship to be able to move through the water. And that is another avenue. Mine is more expensive right now to produce that hydrogen. And that's the reason why natural gas is being, and then the hydrogen is not readily available as yet. But they're working on that. Another thing they're working on is nuclear. They have all the aircraft carriers that the US currently have, the big ones. They are powered by nuclear reactors. Notice nuclear? You hear them talk about nuclear bomb, which is even far more impacting than the hydrogen bomb that they drop on Hiroshima and those places in Japan. A nuclear bomb is like 500 to 1,000 times more powerful than that hydrogen bomb. So nuclear, if it escapes, can wipe out a lot of people because it has a fallout. And if you inhale it, you dead. You inhale it, you're dead. So the reason why a lot of countries didn't want to allow those aircraft carriers to come in their port is because they say if they have a nuclear leakage, it could kill up some of our people. You know, because they know nuclear ain't easy, it's dangerous. But the good news is that since the world has to wean itself off of this fossil fuel, they're finding a way to commercialize that nuclear energy. And they're going to actually have nuclear reactors for commercial ships, just like how they are for the aircraft carriers. But they'll make sure that it's boxed so tightly that even if the ship crashes or runs aground or whatever happens, it's almost impossible for it to escape. And that's what they're doing in order to save the world from this global warming. Because right now, based on research, the world runs on about 5% solar. All the energy taken up used by the whole world. Out of that 100%, only 5% is solar. About 10% is nuclear, so that's 15%. And the other 85% is fossil fuel. And the United Nations is saying, well, of course, the United Nations is made up of all countries in the world. So the United Nations saying something, I mean, this is what all the countries in the world unanimously agree to, right? That by 2050, it's now 2025, 25 years from now, no ship would be allowed to emit carbon into the environment. No electrical, what you call BP, L&M, none of those electrical suppliers would be able to emit carbon. So all the fossil fuel got to be cut out, eh? And we see it happening right now, especially in Europe, even in the US. Even in the US. I don't want to talk about the details, but we ain't got time for all that, right? But in the US right now, they have just approved another large wind farm. What is a wind farm? Wind farm is where they put all of those windmills in the sea, in areas where ships don't have to navigate. And as the wind turns those windmills, they produce power, and they feed that to the grid. And these windmills are getting so impacting that they're making windmills now that giving you 600 and 700 kilowatts. Just one windmill. So when they put a farm of them with about 50 or 100 of those windmills, they're generating megawatts of power for certain areas. Excuse me. And that is replacing those big fossil fuel generators that they used to use to generate the same amount of power. So the world is, whether you like it or not, moving toward, by 2040, by 2050, they do it in phases, 2030 first, then 2040, but by 2050, it's going to be 85, well, it'll be 40% solar, of 30-something% wind farms or wind energy, and fossil fuel will be like 5 or 6, because you still have nuclear, eh? So the maths mightn't be right what I discussed, but you have a small supply of fossil fuel still going on, and of course they have the carbon capture and all that, and then they have a larger supply of nuclear, then a certain supply of hydrogen energy, and none of them emits carbon into the environment. And then, of course, your wind farm and your solar. And that's the way the world is going. That's the way it's going to be. And then, eventually, Mother Earth will be able to breathe properly again. We'll have less of this disturbance that is being caused by the carbon blocking the heat from escaping the what you call it, the biosphere, which is where we live and where all living things are. Because you know now, remember, the earth, you go a couple miles down into the earth, beyond that nothing lives. So those little worms and stuff that live in the dirt, when you hit that hardcore rock, you're not living in there no more. Right? And then, of course, the birds can fly so high, but they still can't come back down. They can't fly forever. And plus, they only could fly so high before it's too much pressure for them to go higher. So that area between where the eagles, they said the eagle fly higher than the other birds, where the eagles fly, and where the wormiest worm in the day just go before they hit the hard rock, that space all around the entire earth is known as the biosphere. That's where biology takes place. That's where we have to live. Remember we had man going on the moon? But they had to put on mask to breathe. You can't breathe on the moon like you breathe on Earth. Because there's not enough oxygen. And if you ain't got enough oxygen, what can happen to you? You dead. That's how it goes. So that's how we work it. So we have the extreme Let me just cover what we covered already because it's just so much. It's just so much. I know why I'm boring. Some people I see people and they say, oh yeah, boy, listen to you all the time. I say, man, you have some good information and it's very informative and I be like, boy, I be in that studio thinking I'm boring you all to death. But yeah, I know a lot of people like this kind of information. I do research. I just tell you what the deal is based on my research. And if I'm wrong, call in and let me know. And if I'm right, call in and let me know. And if you just feel like calling me, hailing me, so I don't feel like y'all ain't listening, call in and let me know. The number to call, 326-8255. Again, I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. You're listening to Maritime Matters. We are live on Love 97 FM. My good producer, Craig Gibson, is here with me. And we got another one. Gee, see that what I was telling you? Half the time, just about gone. And we ain't take the voice break yet. Anyway, let me finish my topics. My topic so far has been the Nassau cruise port breaking the record for the amount of passengers visiting any single port on any single day. We got a record for yearly visits too, of course. We talk about how the ocean is heating up every year and breaking records. And we imagine that this year will be another record-breaking year for how hot the oceans are getting. And when the ocean get hot, the corals are suffering. Some of the fish are suffering because they just need more coolness, eh? We just talked about LNG, liquefied natural gas, how the ships are all being fitted with liquefied natural gas. And another thing that we do, that liquefied natural gas, because you remember our cruise port or our government has given a contract to somebody, to some entity, to supply LNG to the cruise port to feed the cruise ships. But if the cruise ship already have LNG installed on board, there's no incentive for that cruise ship to want to plug into Prince George Wharf so that they could stop emitting fossil fuel from the LNG on board. Because if they plug it into something that's also emitting fossil fuel, carbon, then they can get no credit for it. So I am saying to those people, wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Because what you setting up for gonna be a disaster. The cruise ship ain't won't plug into you unless you're using solar or wind farm, something that is not emitting carbon into the air. Because they already have what you're trying to put in place. So why should they switch over from them to you? It just cannot make good sense. And if you have a problem with that, please call me. Let me know while I'm online so we can discuss it. Because it ain't making no sense to me. And I don't think it's making sense to much people as far as you saying now, you go and supply ships with LNG. While most of the ships are now being fitted with their own LNG system. Right? You're not supplying them with LNG gas, What you're saying you could power them, supply them with, is the power you generating from LNG. It ain't like you fueling them up. No. You telling them, plug into me. And I use an LNG to give you power. That ain't awake. When they plug in, they trying to get credit for not burning the LNG on their ship. And they can't get it if they go in from LNG to plug into another LNG. And that's what I know. Now, if something different from that and somebody let me know, please call in and let me know, eh? Affordable and available LNG is now dominating the vessels. In 2024, it dominated the amount of vessels that were ordered. Out of all the vessels that were ordered, the new builds they call them, in 2024, the majority of them are dual fuels. They have the fossil fuel because that's what's available today, but they also equipped to take LNG. That is not readily available, but it's becoming readily available. And the only reason why the ships are going to LNG is why? Because they can't put a wind farm on their ship while in the ocean. They can't put enough solar on their ship to cause for them to keep moving while in the ocean. That's why they want to plug in when they get in port, because when they're in port, they have the luxury to plug in and turn their fossil fuel off. turn that LNG off. That's how that's supposed to work. We got a company called Sam Skip and Value Maritime. They won the funding for compact carbon capture system. And this carbon capture system again is what ships are going to need if they have not fully converted over to either hydrogen, methane, which again doesn't emit no carbon, or nuclear. If by 2050 you ain't converted yet, you can need to capture and stop that carbon from going in the environment. Otherwise, you will be fined heavy because it's going to be outlawed. And once that happens, your ship can be grounded because you have port state inspectors who are going to come on to find out what you emitting. And if they find out that you're still using LNG or bunker C or one of them fossil fuel, they're going to detain your ship. You won't be able to move until you get something in place to capture that, to make sure they ain't going in the environment. So these companies are now jumping ahead with the carbon capture system for ships to buy so that they could say, oh, we no longer putting carbon in the environment. Yes, we still tend to use our fossil fuel engine, but we capture the carbon, channel them into a void space on board our ship. Well, you may even convert them first, convert them from carbon, from vapor to either liquid or solid, then store them on board the ship. And then, well, it got to be liquid, because you ain't going to store it in solid on the ship, otherwise a truck can't come and take it off. And then a pumping truck will come and pump that tank out, that void space out, and take your carbon to a factory where they will actually freeze that carbon and cause it to turn solid. And then they'll dig holes hundreds of feet down in the ground with drills and store the carbon there. And that's what the whole system set up. And that's already happening, right? So they say, something they're trying to put. There's something what's going on right now. And we got another topic here that says wind energy becomes UK's largest source of electricity. In other words, very, very recently, the wind farms that we was talking about, where they have all these windmills, hundreds of them, thousands of them, making energy as the wind blow them and cause them to turn. They're making energy. And this energy is being channeled into the grid in some of these UK, United Kingdom, Britain, in some of their communities. And what they find this year, at this moment right now, up to now, is that the UK have weaned itself off of carbon, off of fossil fuel to the extent that it is making more energy, like 40-something, 50-something% of its energy is now being made from wind farms. And you might ask, why are they using solar? Well, you all know why. Come on, man. Anytime you think with England, you think with coal, eh? They don't have the sun like we have the sun, because they're not close to the equator like us. So that's the reason why they're using wind farms, because year-round they can make energy using wind farm. And they can provide that energy. Right now, half of the energy in the entire country is being provided by wind farms. And they predict that very soon the whole country, they'll have enough wind farms to supply power to the whole country. And they got a lot going on now in Connecticut and up in New York and those places, New Jersey. Wind farms pile up like that. They got them there, the contract and signed. Although, Mr. Trump say drill, baby, drill. And he have intention to drill oil and sell oil because the U.S. have plenty. And he realized that the world is moving away from that. So he must sell it before it's too late. And not only the U.S., not only Mr. Trump have that attitude. You think about, is it Guyana? I think it's Guyana that found oil, our Caribbean brothers. And they found it very recently, and Venezuela is trying to take some of it back. They can't get it. So what the Guyanese president said, and I saw him on Hard Talk with Stephen Sakura, on BBC. And Stephen Sakura was telling him, well, the world is moving away from fossil fuel. How could you now start putting in oil rigs and drilling up that oil and the United Nations is preaching against this? He said, man, you worrying with me? Drilling for oil? So how long y'all did it? Say, well, allow me to get my share, my couple dollars out of this first, and then I can close it down when y'all close your own down. And I blame him. Mind you, I'm a big supporter of continuing and fossil fuel use. But my thing is, you could tell me, and you digging every day for oil, drilling, bringing up oil, and you would tell me I shouldn't do it now that I can make a couple dollars? No, sir. Let me make that first. And when 2040 come, shut me down. That's what's going on with fossil fuel, right? So we got the UK being the largest. No country in the world have on a percentage basis as much renewable energy source from the windmill as the UK providing power to within their country. And you would have heard, well, you may have heard, I know I've heard, right, talks about the UK getting in bed with China when it comes to EV vehicles and when it comes to all these resources that China put out for solar, making solar panel and this and that and that, renewable energy in general. And some people are looking cross-eyed now at the UK to say, okay, you are America's largest ally, biggest ally. You're the best buddy for the US. How could you get in bed with China when the US is preaching out that they need to stop China? But, Mr. What the new Prime Minister name, Mr. Keir Starmer, is very, very cautious because him and President Donald Trump already had little issues back in the day. They already had some issues back in the day, so we need to see how that pan out in the end. And so we got the wind energy for the UK surpassing gas. Well, first of all, they had the natural gas and stuff was providing most of the energy. But now, and we'll talk about it some more after the break. We have time? Boy, I don't know. Only got half hour left. Wow. Okay. And then, of course, we got the Houthis in the U.S. Launching Tomahawk missiles against the Houthis ashore. And the Houthis came back and they decide they could attack the USS Harry Truman carrier group. Those aircraft carriers usually have a group of destroyers and frigates around them. And the Houthis, while they were in the Red Sea, the Houthis decided they could bombard them with just drones and all the rest. And it going on. Well, of course, those ships could take it. But it ain't pretty sane, eh? And then we might get to talking about the ILA, the International Longshoremen's Association. What is an association? The International Longshoremen's something in the U.S. They were supposed to go on strike. I think it was December or was it November. And then the strike, they decided to pay the people 60% more money. So they didn't strike no more. And they say, now look here, we don't want y'all to think y'all replace some of our workers with robots, that AI stuff. Because y'all look like y'all trying to cause some of our people to have to go home and have robots doing these jobs. Robots don't have to buy grocery from the grocery store. Robots don't have mouths to feed. So if you replace us, although that port is going to be saving money, what are we going to do? Who's going to take care of us? The government? So they say, no. We're not allowing y'all to bring them robots in here to do our work. And if you try it, we'll strike. And so that part of it was put off until the 15th of January, right? Which is just about here. And President-elect Donald Trump was seen in December in the papers with the Longshoremen Association guys saying that he support them and keep the AIs out of these ports in the US because people need their jobs. So very recently they had this agreement where they reached a final deal. The final deal to say we are not going to strike anymore because they listening to us and they're bringing in this bunch of robots no more. So those are the topics, and that's quite a bit, eh? Yeah, that's quite a bit to discuss. We can go into a little bit more details on them when we get back after the break. So this could be the only break we take for the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. The number to call, 326-8255. We are moving to our... Oh, we got a call. Before we move to the break, let's just take this call. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Yes, Happy New Year, my brother.
Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Man, and all the best to you and your family, and hope God's willing this new year will be prosperous and spiritual filled, healthy and blessed for you and yours.
Thank you so much, and many, many happy returns to you, and all the best to you in health and wealth.
Yes, sir. TV, I want to touch in on the longshoremen, the strike, because this is their and their home to me.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
a former longshoreman, so I know in which they speak of.
You ain't no former longshoreman. You still a longshoreman. You just ain't doing it no more because they ain't doing it.
Yeah, but TV, today's technology killed the longshoremen work in Nassau, man.
Oh, Nassau already dead, so that's why them fellas striking. They ain't allow it.
Yes, you know they have cargo ships operating right now, and the only set of actually physical persons they have now is the persons that who put what they call the pins in the containers now.
Wow.
Everything is just modernized, and that's what you see. So I can speak, and my heart goes out for those longshoremen because I know in which they are going through.
Yeah, but
technology is killing the business.
You know, they putting plenty pressure on those people those port owners who trying to bring in technology, and that's what this thing is all about. And I am surprised that President-elect Trump took a side, although he ain't getting the chair good yet. I think on the 20th he goes to the chair. But even before he got in the chair, because they know how he's thinking, they just decided they're not going to bring in all this machinery no more.
Yeah, so and I hope they get what they're deserving of, because what they're about to do, the longshoreman business is going to be minimized by far.
Yeah, but that's not only waking ports. That's basically in all areas. I mean, they got stores in certain parts of the world where you drive through and you just pick up your stuff, and as you pick it up, the price goes in automatically. They need no more cashier. So they got stores that you don't see no people.
No, you just go there and just do what you got to do and go on.
And what they're not realizing is when you're replacing these people, the store owner may save some money, but of course, all the teeth ain't going on no more. Yeah. They ain't got to worry about the machine teeth or nothing, right? Plus, they ain't got to worry about the machine saying, I need overtime because they've got me working extra hours. So, right. So they could save a lot of money, but at the same time, the jobs that keep that community going, how people could buy food if they can't find a job?
They can't find a job, that's something.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the whole thing. You need a balance. And I agree with you what you're saying, but when back in the, well, I mean, shipping has changed. I mean, let's talk a little bit about what the longshoremen did in Nassau back in the day.
Okay, GB, years ago, when I first come on the dock, we used to have car vessels that carry, let's say, 100 cars.
Yeah.
And we used to take at least almost 2 to 3 days to offload 100 cars.
What they used to use? Crane?
Simply because what they used to do, back in the days, they used to have artificial hatches.
Okay.
Where they have cars on. So when we then clean out deck one, we used to take up the artificial hatches, which was there with just by plywood and stuff like that.
Wow.
So all of that take time. So you could offload 100 cars and it take you 3 to 4 days sometime back in the day.
So the
They
cars,
started modernize the carboat. Used to bring in some of the carboats used to come with elevator, but the elevator only can bring up one car at a time. So if you get 100 cars, you're looking at least about 2 to 3 days offloading. Now I got a carboat with 473 cars, and that takes me less than 3 hours.
yeah, 'cause they're just driving straight off.
Yeah, that's driving straight off.
But they still need manpower to drive them off, eh?
Yeah, but the driving part, yeah, you still need manpower to drive them off. But back there in the day, you had to bring fellas to uproot the artificial hatches.
Mm-hmm.
This is the set of men you need. Then you need drivers, you need unlatches, but today's technology now, you don't need drivers and unlatches.
So, do you think, Gunn, do you think that if things did not advance, and not only with carboat, but even with the gantry cranes, well, we have none here, but they got a lot in Freeport. The gantry cranes and the straddle carriers, and because they're putting everything in boxes, the containers.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to what it used, they never used to use containers back in the day.
No, back in the day, everything used to be in the boat hold.
And then now they got row and low. They could even drive the container on and off the ship.
Right. So even within that field, within the cargo business now, well, that's a different ball game altogether. Because modern day technology put that one to rest.
Yeah, because
cargo ships offloading, the crane operator, he up there and he just get his spreader. He got everything with technology. Then they put the box on the ground.
Yeah.
The truck come pick it up and they go with it.
But they're trying to replace the crane operator now. They just use an infrared and the crane doing the gantry crane operating itself.
Yeah, they operate. He can stay right on the ground and from the office and operate the crane.
And the straddle carrier, they operate like how they have some cars now that don't need people to drive them. The straddle carriers are operating without a driver.
Yeah.
And so that's what the U.S. was striking for, to say we're not going to have them in our ports.
Yeah, I think it was at the port in China. I think.
Oh yeah.
I was watching. They have when the low boy comes for the crane operator to rest the box on. All of this is modern day technology. Ain't nobody driving it.
No, and that's what they wanted to do on the U.S. ports, and this is why the longshoremen are striking. They said we're not going to have it here. If y'all want in China, that on y'all. Y'all want in Philippines, what the place named Singapore, and them that on y'all. But we ain't allowed on here because we need our jobs.
Yeah, back in my day when they come around the dock, when we have a gang of men to offload a cargo boat, you're looking at least with almost 15 to 20 men just per hatch.
Yeah, so y'all had to. Well, first of all, they had crane on board with us open the hatch or move the hatch. Because I remember the mail boats on Porter's Key, all of them had cranes and hatches.
Right.
And now you go there, I think only 2 is left, Moxie and Captain CA. All the rest of them got ramp.
All of them got ramp.
So
they lower the ramp and then
they lower the ramp and drive things on and off. So they carry containers and so the time it used to take for that one crane to lower everything down in a hole in the belly of the ship or the boat. You know what they did recently with Captain Moxie? They took Captain Moxie to the States to be refitted or retrofitted or refitted, however you call it. And they actually gonna close off the cargo hole, extend the bow, and put a ramp on the bow. So that the Captain Moxie don't even need no more crane. They can move the crane all together.
Move the crane all together, so everything is roll on, roll off.
Everything is RR, roll on, roll off. And that's what I'm saying. Most of the vessels are already doing that. You go on Porter's Key, all the operational mail boats have ramp, except for I think Captain C and Captain Moxie.
Jimmy, let me tell you something. You will see old style back offloading of cargo ship. Go at the MV Current Pride on Tuesdays when she come in.
Yeah, but the Current Pride is a baby. But she only could carry a little bit compared to Moxie and them, right?
Yeah, compared to Moxie
but
and them.
But she still used everything old school. Everything
old school. You have to lift, manpower, got to do everything.
Yeah, and she can a lot of fruits and buy. That's a good thing.
Manpower got to do everything, and like when I first come around the dock, when we used to offload containers and stuff like that, each container consists of a gang of men. That's one forklift operator and 4 men. Now today's technology, you put the box in the ground, you put it up, you only need the forklift driver because everything on pallet.
Yeah, but would you agree in that argument though that that's far more efficient than it used to be?
GB, I support it 110%.
But it's just that ain't nobody getting no more jobs, eh?
Ain't nobody getting no more jobs. So it's a damn if you do and damn if you don't.
Yeah, they say that AI could replace just about all us. But I don't know.
That's taking us right out, man.
Yeah, that's a serious. But that's the way the world going, man. Boy.
Yeah, but you know, we got to get with the time, man.
Yeah, well, I thank you so much for shedding that light, Brother Gunn. I always need people like you to help us out with what used to be and compared to what's going on now, because a lot of people don't understand why you're fighting.
Like I'm saying, I got to come in because, you know, we still got some things we got to touch.
Man,
we
you know.
some stuff we got to get together on.
You just got to let me know when you can be free, because, you know, every Tuesday I can be right now.
Yeah, but GB, listen, you got to let me know when you can fill me in. I can come anytime.
Well, okay, so say no more. And I don't think I can be here next week.
No.
But the week after that I can be here. So I can let you know when I get back.
You shoot something to me, let me know. And then
yeah, man. We got plenty more talking we can do right here. Bring the people abreast of what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Yes, sir.
All right, Maritime man. I love it, man. Thanks for calling.
You too, brother.
And let's keep in touch. Thank you very much. Wonderful call. Yeah, that's my good friend. He's been on the show before. He knows that longshoreman Steve Doc Wake. He's been doing that all his life, and I think he made him around the same age. So, you know, they call us old people nowadays. Once you pass 60, you're a little old. Yeah, so I'm happy to hear from him. And as we move to our break, again, this is Maritime Matters. I'm your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and we have a litany of topics that we're covering, and we covered already some of them. So we're going to be back and continue on right after this break.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Love 97 FM.
Love 97 FM.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting in the evening.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. We are live on Love 97 FM. My producer, Mr. Craig Gibson. We've had one call so far. I guess we'll have another one coming. I don't know, but we will keep our fingers crossed. But we are covering a litany of maritime subjects tonight. And let's just dig right back into it. If you want to reach us, the number to call is 326-8255. So just pick up your phone, 326-8255, and you'll be right on us. If you want to listen to some of our previous shows, please go to our YouTube page. Go to YouTube, press the search box, search for Maritime Matters Bahamas. And a whole slew of our shows over the 2.5 years, actually it's almost 3 years, come February will be 3 years, will show up for your leisure at your pace. So our big topics. Nassau Cruise Port breaks all-time passenger record. And that's a big deal, people. That's a big deal. You know how fortunate this country is to have the port that accommodates most cruise ship passengers in the world. That's a big deal. And we know it only happens primarily because not only our beautiful waters and all the rest of that, because a lot of countries have that, because of our proximity to the big three. You know, the three largest cruise ports in the world, all of them are on our back door because we right on their front door. And when they leave to take the people on their 1 week or 2 week cruise, they can't avoid us. Well, they ain't got to stop, but boy, they could be looking at us. And we talking about Miami, Port Everglades, and Port Canaveral. So, during March of 2023, the record for a single day passenger visit was 28,554 passengers in one single day. But of course, we had 6 big cruise ships out there. And in one day, that didn't say all of them come off the ship, and we don't care if they come off. The reality is they were all in port. 28,554. That was March 2023. And it took another year and a half, excuse me, or 3/4, to break that record. So that was no easy feat, 28,500 people in one day. But we mashed it up anyhow. And we go on to 29,000. Almost 30,000. And we can soon get to 30,000. Trust me, before 2025 we're out, we'll see in one single day probably over 30,000 passengers in Nassau Harbor on those ships all at once. And the day in December 2024 was 29,316 passengers arrived in Nassau Harbor on that day, the 27th of December. That's the day after Boxing Day, eh? So we had Junkanoo, then we had Boxing Day, and then we had the day when more people was on cruise ships in Nassau Harbor than any other time in history. And that was 29,000 passengers. So aren't we carrying on? What about cruise ports being made at all of our family islands? In other words, no matter what happens, we are still the destination right outside of the 3 largest home port in the world. So why don't we have every single family island with a dock that can accommodate a cruise ship? The question why wouldn't be answered because we're just lousy. We are a lousy bunch. Our governments have all been lousy when it comes to putting cruise ship piers in place on those family islands. Because if you know, you have the 3, even if you only had one of them, and they got to pass you to get around you to go places, why you going to have one port that they could stop to? Freeport have one, but of course that ain't our government put that there. And like I said, the private islands have their own, which the cruise ships themselves put there. But only their ship could go there. The other cruise ships can't go to their private islands. So the government needs to make sure, and it does a lot of things. And I tried licking this horse, but I could still lick him some more. Eh? It does a lot of things. It's going to cause a lot of people from those islands to leave Nassau and go back home because now they can find a viable job that pays good money to accommodate. Because when that cruise ship comes in, I mean you need to know this. When that cruise ship comes in, those cruise ship passengers are looking for things to do. And one of the biggest things, and ain't nobody can tell me because I've been doing plenty cruising on the nicest ships in the Mediterranean, in the Caribbean, in Alaska. I've been all over the place cruising. And I can tell you as a cruise passenger myself, I'd be looking for things to do when I reach that place that interest me. So the biggest thing about these cruise ships is to have something available nice for the people to want to do. Because each one of these ships now are carrying like 5,000, 6,000 passengers. Because they're huge. And you can imagine a ship pulling up in Cat Island, the Devil's Point, with 5,000 passengers. And sometimes 2 there, so that's 10,000. Do you know what Cat Island is like? The amount of nature tours they can do in Cat Island. The amount of beach picnics. Cat Island got the nice pink sand just like in Utrecht, you know. Cat Island got a lot of nice trees, a lot of nice restaurants. And the people on those ships wouldn't have to worry about crime. They wouldn't have to worry about harassment, like when they're in Nassau and they go on some of these hotel properties and whatnot. They ain't got to worry about them kind of things. Tranquility. They ain't got to worry about no bunch of cars passing up and down Bay Street. Because the islands don't need that. So, you know, Mr. Government, today and tomorrow, please map out a plan so that every single family island in this country could have a pier that the cruise ship could come and tie up to. And watch how this country changes. Watch how the central focus of Nassau becomes an entire Bahamas focus. Because if you have cruise ship going to all of our islands, that means you can get a lot of people back home. That means you get a lot of activities being generated back in them family islands. That means you get now a lot of educated, formally educated degree people going back to that island because now they could find a viable job in that cruise ship, and they could maintain a certain level of living based on a certain level of pay. A lot of people could open up their own businesses. And the big question is, why is this not happening? Because we are just a lousy bunch. And our politicians come from us. So they are a lousy bunch when it comes to creating and expanding opportunities in the maritime field. And there's no better way to do it than to make sure every single family island has a pier that 2 cruise ships can come and tie up to. No better way. And just watch this country become extremely successful when it comes to the money spreading. You got to remember now, they have new ships being built every year. They need places for these ships to go. They have countries like in the Greek islands and up in Alaska and certain places like that. They turning away ships. They say, no, we don't want too much of y'all here. I'm right there. I'm with the place named where all the red light district where all the women that must walk around naked. Holland, Amsterdam. Amsterdam say we don't want no cruise ships coming in. You all stop coming in. And y'all getting so big. Man, we get our crowd without y'all. Y'all making things difficult now. When you all come here and people can hardly move around. Same thing with some of these Greek islands. Alaska say, we don't want you all messing up our tranquility. But we in the Bahamas, we welcome you all. We're going to build cruise ship piers on every island so that you all can pick, choose, and refuse. Bring all them new ships here. Come, use our piers, go on our beaches, check out our islands, and everybody gets that win-win-win. That's a triple win. Even they gamble and they get a triple win. So that's where we need to go with not only Nassau cruise spot breaking records, but breaking records in all the family islands with the amount of people visiting those islands. And the good thing about it, is when they go to visit by cruise ship. And they realize, you see, a lot of people think the Bahamas is Nassau, you know. When they go and they visit by cruise ship and they see that the family islands is far better or more tranquil, less crime than Nassau, then they could be inclined to come back and get in an Airbnb. Or eventually, you may have hotels because the crowd wants to go to these places. And I don't understand, not only that we're not doing it as a government or as a country, we don't even have no plans to do it. And we have a whole Ministry of Tourism, a whole Bahamas Maritime Authority, Ministry of Transport, and nobody planning to do something that the country needs, that could help this country tremendously. But I ain't gonna stop preaching it. It's your business. We all get mad at me. I preach it anyhow. Now we talk about the extreme ocean heat. Ah boy, we narrowing down, we gearing down in time. But the extreme ocean heat, breaking records year after year. And they're leaving two mysteries. And what is that heating up of the ocean causing? First of all, we said that the oceans are heating up as the planet warms. 2024 was the warmest year ever measured in the history of the world. Record-breaking 2023, which is the year before 2024, was previously the warmest ever measured in time immemorial. Warmer oceans means increased evaporation. Because you know, when the ocean gets warmer, it evaporates faster, which in turn results in heavier rains in some areas and droughts in other areas. And we've had heavy rains and plenty floods in certain areas that we know about even in 2024. Certain parts of England, the Philippines, you remember that one in Spain? And they flood everybody out and kill all kind of people. That's because of global warming, people. That don't just happen just like that. Global warming causing that to happen. The oceans warming up and the environment creating instability and causing rain to go where rain ain't need to be going in plenty abundance. And it goes on to say, it results in heavier rains in some areas and droughts in others. You remember the drought in the Panama Canal? Because the Panama Canal has a lake, you know. And that lake wasn't getting enough water to keep the locks filled. And instead of having 23, 24 ships pass through per day, because the water was moving so slow and they had to wait for water to come back and things like that, they were only getting 18, 19 a day. And that was a big loss. Well, I mean, it ain't as big as what's going on in the Suez Canal, because the Houthis ain't letting nothing come through there. So Egypt losing millions of dollars every day. Unfortunate. We hope that come to a close soon so they can start making that money. But I like the Israelis. Not the Israelis. Well, the Israelis too, but the Egyptians. Walk like an Egyptian. That's how we used to roll back in the day. Now, hurricanes can become far more powerful due to global warming and the warming of the oceans. Downpours can be far more significant, could even be very damaging, as we've seen, due to the ocean getting warmer. It can also harm the health of coastal marine areas and sea life. We talk about how the coral reefs are now being bleached. That's because of the ocean being warmer than it normally is. And as a result, it could also affect temperatures on land by changing weather patterns. So we need to pay more credence to global warming and the heating up of the ocean, Well, we're down to what? Another 10 minutes? If all that. My producer say 9. Okay, 9 minutes. And we go back to our next topic, affordable and available LNG dominated dual fuel vessel orders in 2024. So the shipping industry is seeking CO2, carbon dioxide, reducing alternatives. You know, carbon is being emitted. We need alternatives to ensure that that is reduced from ships, which is very difficult. From land, not a big deal. Well, a big deal, but not a big deal like ships. Ships can't do what land can do. Land could actually put up solar, capture energy from the sun, channel that into, what do you call it, the electrical hub, or what they call it? The grid. Feed that into the grid and provide power through solar, through the sunlight, through the sun's energy. So you know the sun is nothing but a ball of nuclear. That will eventually burn out. It's been burning now for some 4 billion years, and it has another 3.5 billion years before it just burn out and just don't live. The whole it'll be gone. Anyway, we ain't talking about all that today, right? Let's keep it maritime, because some people don't like to hear that. They think the earth could be the earth might be here forever, but they think that the sun could be here forever. No, that's not the case. So affordable and available. So for ships only, now they talk about LNG has become the preferred alternative fuel choice. In other words, all ships being built now are being fitted so that they can use liquefied natural gas as a fuel source. Because right now that's the only thing in available abundance for shipping to continue and cut down on fossil fuel at the same time, right? Because ships ain't, like I say, ain't like on land where they could be provided because of all the things they could set up. Ships got to move. Ships got to be on their own. They single individual moving through the oceans. So they can't carry nothing with them. So this reduction by using CO2 only for ships, because on land, how are we going to capitalize on reducing CO2? If you're in warm climates like the Bahamas, where there's always sun energy, the best thing to use is solar. That's the cheapest way to go, the best way to go. But of course, you got some countries that are not within that warm belt, eh? And in the winter time, half of the year, they're not going to get enough sunlight to keep solar effectively a reasonable source of fuel. So they get stronger winds than us, and they put windmills in place, and those windmills, by the wind turning those windmills, creates energy very similar to how the sun creates energy by heating up those panels on your roof. So all in all, what you get is the ships are turning to LNG because that's their quick fix. But eventually, they want to use a source, and they're going to be required to by the IMO. It's already required actually, but the time ain't reached yet for it to phase in. And they're going to find that source by way of either commercial nuclear power, hydrogen cells, ammonia, methanol, source of fuel, which some engines are now being designed to carry, to utilize as well. Or they're going to have to put that carbon capture over their funnel. And when they exhaust, instead of that carbon going into the environment, it's captured and channeled into a void space on board the ship, eh? So, as far as the ships being able to conserve or reduce the amount of carbon they put in there, they're going to go to LNG initially, and then they're going to probably try to go to something else later, because they're going to continue all this research in fuel source for ships, eh? They'll have the carbon capture system in place when they have to put it in place by 2050. And when they import, they want to plug in. And what plug in mean? It means that when they are in a port like Nassau Harbor or Arawak Key or APD, Arawak Port Development, they are being supplied power by the port, which is generating that power from solar or wind farm, or their grid that is feeding from solar or wind farm. And so shipping is going to take the form of, whenever they import, they're happy to plug in. Because when they plug in, they're going to be getting credits for not utilizing that machinery that exudes or discharges carbon. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the last we talk about. And then, of course, we had the things like, the UK being switching over to, the United Kingdom switching over to now more than half of the power for the whole country is being done by wind farms. And they say 100% will be done very soon, right? U.S. Navy, they launched some Tomahawk missile strikes against the Houthis in Yemen. And the Houthis bounced back. They claimed that they had a 9-hour attack on the USS Harry Truman, the warship in that area. And of course, its carrier group, which includes a couple other ships that protects that aircraft carrier. And we talk a little bit, and I had my one call from my good friend Gunn about the International Labor Association in the US. Not labor, International Longshoremen's Association. They reached their final deal, thanks to Donald Trump, where all those ports agreed with them that we are not going to bring in these robots to do your jobs. We're going to keep you all hired. And the robots will stay in China or wherever they come from. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for continuing listening to Maritime Matters. I want to thank my good old Annie Mae, who just break this down for me and send it to me, and within a day I'll have this whole thing right back at me. Glenn, I think I can play Annie Mae next week, boy, because Annie Mae is easy. And I want to thank my good producer, Mr. Craig Gibson, for keeping the show going smoothly. I couldn't do it. I want to thank my caller for calling in. And who else I got to thank? My sponsors. Oh my goodness, my sponsors. Bahamas Maritime Connection. Also, Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Also, 2 one-on-one pharmacies here in Nassau. Thank you for keeping the show going. With that, as always, I say, Maritime Matters. Tick, 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 tick. Out.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for, look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of